Hello, welcome to my channel. The main rule for the quilting is that there are no rules. You will learn, you will watch others, and you will find the methods and ways of quilting that works for you. And that's the most important thing, because you need to find what works for you to be able to enjoy the process. What you will see is my process of working with different materials and different designs, and I hope some of those tips and tricks will help you in your own journey. Hi, welcome back, or hello if you are here first time. It's Paula from Pola Quilting. I've got some leftovers from my previous project about wonky flower trees, so I would like to use it up. So as I was cutting those bits out, I thought that would be nice triangle shape made out of it, and that's what we'll be doing today. Those are going to be wonky triangles. So I've got some pink ones, because that's the crumb blocks I had at the moment, but it's obviously not enough to make a quilt out of it. So I'm using my cheat sheet, which again is in one of my videos, and it is a freebie you can download from my Facebook group. So I will obviously leave all the links below, so feel free to go grab one. So I would like to make a lap quilt out of it, and I think the size of the blocks we're going to go for, let me just grab a ruler. So let's see, that would have been 8.5 or 6.5. I think I will go with 6.5, and I may add some borders around it later, but let's stick to 6.5 for now. So if I would like to make a lap quilt with 6.5-inch blocks, so I need to have a 90 of those to get to that size I would like to be. So I can make 8 triangles from those cut-offs here, and I've got a pile of crumb blocks, or well, started crumb blocks here, which, you know, haven't finished yet, but I think it will be a good opportunity now to cut those in irregular triangular shape and use for that quilt as well. And I've got quite a lot of those, so some are bigger, some are smaller, so obviously I can go through that pile and see what I can salvage. And you know, from the big piece like this I can have at least 3 or 4 maybe. They are wonky, so they're not going to be the same size. They can be, you know, more on the side, more up, flatter, higher, whatever I feel like cutting them up with. So obviously to build it up to the 6.5-inch block, I will need to add something around, and I think the best option will be add something more plain, just to bring up the colors from those triangles, and kind of, you know, not to bring too much jungle there. So I will have a look in my pile of the colors, or plain colors, or very light colors. So without further ado, let's do some triangles, and I will cut some triangles there, and then I will audition the fabric to go around it. Okay, so I've sewn all of my triangles, and I'm just trying to kind of see how they will fit in the my design. So this is a 6.5-inch square, so I'm gonna have to, you know, cut here, make it straight at the bottom, and size wise I think it's not bad. However, I think because most of them are going to be, you know, blue, green, grayish colors, and I just got literally those 8 pink ones, it would be nice to actually set them off a little bit better. So before I add fabric on both of the sides, I will add white strips on the sides, and then I will make them into a you know, proper triangle. Just on the sides, I will leave the bottom as is. And I've got here some white fabric from the shirts, you know, men buttons up shirts. So I think I can use those to you know, do those stripes on the sides instead of using just a normal cotton fabric. It's not going to be a wide strip, you know, here it's going to be small strip. Again, it will be wonky strip. I don't have any particular measurement I want to add, you know, not less probably than an inch strip, because, you know, you take half, you take half of it out for the seams, about an inch, not more than that, I would say. So that's how it will look, and then I will add some darker colors on the sides. Again, I've pulled out here already a pile of plain fabrics I've got. Some of those are fat quarters I bought, some of those are actually you know, bits of bedding, cotton bedding, and this type of fabric, so it's a mix and match here. This is again a black shirt I had, that's the bedding, that's the cotton sheet. So I'm just using up all the scraps I've got in my cupboards to do those. Before I start cutting my blues triangles out of those, I will definitely starch that fabric. Again, a lot of the fabric in that pile is the shirts, bedding, that's the bedding, those were shirts, that's the bedding, so it's mix and match here. So if I starch it, it will be much easier to work with that fabric later. So I will do that. I will iron it, starch it, and cut my triangles. Okay, so I finished cutting my triangles. They look pretty nice. And I finished those ones as well, you know, with the first round of that white, and that looks good too. Now I'm thinking, how is the best way of cutting those fabrics to make sure I don't have a lot of waste, but also, you know, I can do it as quickly as possible. Yeah, if I put this on the 6.5-inch square, because that's where I want to be, there are different dimension of strips I would need to add to the sides to achieve that size. So I think what the best option will be for me is actually cut that fabric I want to use into 2.5 inches strips, and then obviously start sewing them to one side and to the second side, trim it on the side, see how much I need to add, and do that, because that way I will only have a snippets of wasted fabric, and you know, any bigger pieces can just go to the crumb block bin as well, so they will be all used up. So I will go through the fabric, pick the one I want to have the frames done from on those blocks, and cut them 2.5 inches strips, and start sewing all around. Okay, so I made quite a few of those triangles, wonky triangles. I haven't even cut into that pile of fabric I showed you before. I'm just using the scrap 2.5-inch strips I've got in my box. So how I go about it, so I've sewn first round, and I kind of, whatever was sticking out, I chopped it off. So I'm taking my template of the ruler for whatever size you're doing the blocks for. This is 6.5 for me. I'm putting it here a little bit higher because obviously I still want to score it up later. And then I'm checking, is this enough here? I definitely need to add another corner here. Let's take a shorter piece. So if I put this one in here, that will cover. No, not yet, because obviously that will be 1/4 inch here coming out, so it will be much less. But if I move it to this side, to the maximum, well, I still will need to add somewhere a corner. So I think because this one is stitched already, I will add it here. That means if after I've stitched on, when I get around to squaring up, I will have enough space to do it. And I will just put the pins here to hold it in place. And whatever blocks I've got at this stage that I did one round already, I will just do that in one go, and I will have it all prepared for the sewing. So like this one, I've got one side pin here. Here I'm missing just one small corner, so I've added a very small piece here. Here the corners were fine, but I was missing for the length up, so I've added a strip at the top. again small corners, so wherever I cut here a bit, I just add it here. Once I've stitched, it should be enough to square it up. This is the one of the triangles I've just started making, so this is the first side done, and then I will add this 2.5 inch strip on this side. You know, if I was sewing straight away I wouldn't pin it, but because I'm preparing a batch of it at any given time, then I'm just holding it with the pins, so I don't have to kind of, you know, spend time on each of them individually. So that's the batch ready now to go through with the sewing machine. And like I've mentioned, I haven't yet cut into the fat quarters I've got. I'm still using up my strips, and I hope I will actually be able to finish those triangles without cutting the extra fabric. So I will carry on and I will show you how they look when they're finished. So I finished about, I don't know, 50 of those blocks already, and I just wanted to show you how they look, because they, you know, from my perspective, they look so awesome. So far I only cut into that, you know, the pile of fabric I showed you, probably with 2 or 3 different colors, which was that bright yellows, I think, this green, and one of the blues. Other than that, I've used just scraps from my 2.5 inch box. You know, I just made sure that I've got enough of that one color to cover the well. About, if I had the 3 strips, about, I don't know, 23 inches more or less, that was enough to build one block. And some of them are patched up more than others, and I will make a close-up in a minute to show you. So this is how I, you know, sew that quilt to make that design. However, this is great versatile block, because what you could do is set your blocks going each, you know, different direction in each row, and that will make totally different look of the quilt. They can go up and down as well. Also, if you were doing, for example, enough blocks for one color in each row, that would have a great look as well. So you see, you can, you know, you can make so many different things with that one block only, and you could even try to make a, you know, mishmash design in one quilt. So I don't know yet how I will sew it now, because obviously I had a plan to just to have them the way I showed you at the beginning, but now it looks like there's so much more potential into that block that I might change my mind. So I won't be finishing them off yet. I mean, you know, sewing them in, just to make sure that I can have a, you know, exploration time for how I can go about it. So you see, that totally transforms that quilt into something else. And another option is, if you have block, like I said, with the same colors, you can put those together in maybe this pattern as well. I've got one more. Stick, because they obviously one on another. So that's another layout you can have of those blocks. So if you have a 4 of the same color, you can make it into like a flower-ish design, and then obviously have those 4s put together next to each other. So very, very versatile block, and you know, you can use up the scraps as much as and as little as you want. And I did try for those frames use the like a little bit more calm fabrics, like not too much pattern on it. Like this one is a little bit of batik. I like the red one, there's like a small flower on it, but it doesn't pop too much. But also it gave me opportunity to use all of my solid colors, which I had quite a lot, and I kind of didn't know what to do with it. Here you go, it works perfectly with those blocks. If you, for example, take this type of block, and instead of putting white around here, you just snowball this top triangle and then cut into triangle to add maybe blue background, you will have some sort of a type of snow mountain design as well. So it's another type of the block you can make. You can play with it you know, a lot. So it's great block, and I totally recommend it. It looks nice in the 6.5 inch. It could look nice in 8.5 as well. And I was also thinking, because you know it's quite actually time consuming to get to those blocks, I was thinking that because I'm missing about maybe 20 blocks, to make few which will be 12.5, and just make a big triangle, and obviously those scraps around. So I won't be sewing it yet, so you won't be able to see in this video how I finished. But if you'd like to check later how that quilt finished, you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on my page, or you can join my group on Facebook. And once I finish that quilt, the picture definitely will pop there. And just a quick note about the construction. So like I've mentioned before, so those are all 2.5 inches scrap, just to add it until I had enough to square up. But when I squared up another block of that red, and I missed a little bit of corner here, I just used whatever I cut out from the other bit to fill in the gap. So I really used up every last little bit of that where I could, and then the remaining bits and pieces have gone to the boxes for the crumb blocks project. So just, you know, work with your scraps, so use them up very well. And just a little tip when you're sewing with different colors, I do not change the thread, and you cannot see that it was a white thread here used in the sewing. You just need to narrow the stitch quite a lot. Like I'm sewing with 1/8 or 1/5, because when the stitch is very, very narrow, it will not pop in when, like, you know, on the right side when you iron it. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to my channel to support my work. For further inspiration and examples of my work, you can check my Instagram or Facebook page. Happy creating!